We are joined here by former Fontbonne University softball head coach Bill Rosner. Coach, great to have you here today to talk a little bit about the SLIAC All-Decade team. Really look forward to hearing what you have to say and reminiscing about some of these players. So thank you for joining us.
You are very welcome. I'm honored that you even asked. It's great.
Well, this past decade, Fontbonne program really kicked it off with a bang, winning 6 straight SLIAC tournament titles to start the decade.
Right.
One of those players on the early teams was All-American Courtney Von Burn. Can you talk about Courtney a little bit?
Well, Courtney was special. It was just one of those lucky kids. She was looking at Mizzou. She was looking at a lot of places to go pitch. And, of course, at that time we had taken over the program. And it wasn't a good program when we had left. I was with John Conway and went to St. Louis University and then came back. And Courtney was one of the biggest recruits, I can tell you, that we were able to get our hands on because, as you know, pitching and catching makes the world go round. So she was special. If Courtney's health could have held on for her a little better, and she still suffers with some health issues, it would have been incredible to see what kind of statistics she was going to break out there because she was a bulldog on the mound. And she could hit a little bit too. Not one of my favorite things. Yeah. Pitchers hitting and me don't go hand in hand. So, when you have somebody like Courtney saying, Coach, I think I can hit for this team too. You're going, yeah, whatever. Just go keep pitching, girl. And but she proved to us that her bat needed to be in the lineup.
You also had 3 more All-Americans, the Glicksman sisters, and then Maddie Leonard, of course. Can you talk a little bit about that trio of players there for you?
Sure, and don't forget Marissa Simon.
Marissa Simon,
also,
correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The twins and Maddie Leonard. Every coach, I've known them for a long time, coached them in summer ball throughout my career. Again, talk about stealing some people from some colleges out there. What we sought out to put this little Division I program inside of Division III Fontbonne, and we found some kids that were intrigued with putting some things in the right place. And the twins and Maddie Leonard would have been, bigger than big, as you know, by the numbers. The twins were, in my opinion, probably 2 of the best players to ever play in SLIAC history. I'm pretty sure that they'll probably continue that trend for a long, long time. They were just that good. And Maddie Leonard, as you know, was a workhorse on the mound. He became a workhorse for us, a kid that you give the ball to and you'd have to go get it out of her hand. She liked to throw, and she was willing to throw a lot. And the best part about Maddie Leonard, she wanted nothing to do with a bat in her hand.
She just wanted the ball, huh?
Yeah, she just needed the ball and get to the circle, as she always
said.
Get me to my safety spot, and I'm good. She was a dandy.
Can you talk a little bit about this group coming together, and you guys won 50-plus straight SLIAC games during that period? What was that like coming into each game day? Is that something that you guys were aware of and kept wanting to extend, or how did that happen?
No, I don't think we were never too big on stats, even though we definitely followed them and could complain about somebody calling something a hit or an error. I'm not saying we did, but we didn't get caught up as a group. This was about we. Our motto was we. It's capital W, capital E. We weren't interested in anybody's individual accomplishments. What we were interested in is how well we could do. So I'm not going to tell you that we weren't aware that there was a long streak going, but we really went after every game, one game at a time. I know it's old cliche stuff, but it's really how we worked it, Brian. And, we worked it until it was going to end. And if it ended, it did. And if not, we were going to put our best foot forward. And we believed in playing all 7 innings. So, we found a way to get a lot of W's in there. It was a really, really special time. I won't tell you, Fib, while I will say we didn't get caught up in the dramatics of it and the drama. We were aware, and we were, again, it's just a special thing that happens once in a lifetime. And fortunately, it happened in our lifetime, and it was a special group to have it with.
Yeah, it was really neat to watch. So, we mentioned, Cassie and Danny Glicksman. There was another player that I want to talk to you about from Westminster College, Erica Burney. She's just one of 3 players in SLIAC history to win 2 Players of the Year, along with Cassie and then Grace Young of Blackburn. You saw Erica Burney in your final year coaching.
Right.
You talked about her just a little bit, kind of what she brought to the field.
Well, she brought confidence for their team, and she could flat play. I mean, she could hit. And again, when people tell me they could hit, I always wanted to see how you did against us. And I can tell you in reference to both Grace and Erica, I mean, they hit against us. So that was the first telltale sign to me that, okay, we truly are talking about someone that's special. Because pitching and catching really was a strong suit for us in my 8 years there, and really in the other 4 that I was at Fonfon. So once kids stepped up and started putting balls in play off of the Courtney Von Burns and the Maddie Leonards of the world, you have my attention and my utmost respect to go with it as well. So they were very special players to SLIAC, and as well as both of them to their team, and I know both.
Yeah, Grace Young, a little bit more on her. She played at the earlier part of the decade. What was that like, at the start of the decade, having a player like that kind of, really, really dominate the SLIAC?
Well, I mean, it's what you're hoping happens. I mean, I was promoting SLIAC from the day I got there, from putting patches on sleeves, and we're handing SLIAC things out at the national tournaments to say, you may not know who we are, but you're going to. So whenever you can get those kind of level of players involved in your division, it only makes my kids wanted to be better. So anytime anybody had a better player, my kids wanted to be better, and that's all we needed was a little fuel for the fire.
Sure. I know there was a good rivalry there for, between you guys and this next team I'm going to ask you about, Greenville University. And they had a couple of, hitters in Tiffany, Samso, and Brittany McKee that really made their lineup go on this all-decade team. Can you talk about Tiffany and Bryn a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, both again, they sent us home my last year, probably single-handedly, if you want my opinion. I mean, they just flat got at us and beat up on us a little bit. Both good players. At the leadoff spot, as good as SLIAC's had, and I think we've had some really good ones, but she was dominant. They were, again, 2 good kids that came out to play, competed hard, played hard, and really difficult to get out, and could play defense too. I mean, they were definitely a difference maker for the program, and good kids. That's the best part. They were good kids. So they had respect for what we were doing, and we had respect for what they were doing. We were just trying to win more than them.
Yeah, that's what makes a good rivalry. So
you bet.
Moving on now to the pitcher. I know you're a big fan of the pitchers. Can you talk about Kelsey Fleener of Spalding University a little bit?
Well, Kelsey did some nice things. I was a fan. I've always been a big fan of Art over there. And a kid could flat pitch. It was disappointing that I think that she didn't finish her career, if I'm not mistaken. And some of my memory has to come back to me slowly as you ask some of these. But the kid could absolutely compete with. And again, I say it, and I don't mean it to sound, poorly, but when you compete against us at the SLIAC back in those days, you had my attention, because some teams just couldn't, and that's the way it went, and that was okay too. But she could single-handedly carry her team, and that was what was so cool about her. And she had an attitude on the mound, so there was no intimidating, and because we intimidated some people. We were a big team, hit a ball hard, but she was not. She feared none of that in us. Yeah.
And then finally, Coach, my final question for you is, are there any players that we didn't mention yet that you're glad you don't have to game plan against anymore?
Oh, gosh. If I could think of some of the names, yes, I am positive that there are, but off the top, you waited too long. I just don't remember as well as I would like to say that I do. But everybody had somebody that we were worried about. Webster, of course, our rival from the very beginning, probably related back to my 4 years with John Conway when we were there. So yeah, there's definitely some people that we were glad that we were finished with. Correct. I just unfortunately can't remember any of the names for you.
Hey, not a problem at all. Well, thank you for joining us today, Coach, and glad we were able to jog your memory a little bit and look back at the SLIAC last decade of softball. So Thank
I
you again.
appreciate everything you've done, and always enjoyed what you guys did, and trying to push SLIAC to another level, at least on the softball side. And I'm sure all the sports, you guys have been good people, and I know from me and my staff, we thank you everything for what you did.
Well, you're welcome, and it's good to work with all you people, all the coaches and student athletes as well. So
yeah,
thank you again, and we'll see you around.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for the call. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right.